The Beer Brothers is a comedy podcast where two dumb babies related by blood grew up and now review beers for you, the people. You can drink along if you'd like, but maybe don't do it in your car on the way to work. Drink responsibly. At home. In the dark.
Welcome back to another episode of the Beer Brothers. This is episode number 56. Micah informed me that we've done over 200 beers at this point, which is insane, and I don't think I'm going to tell my doctor that. But at any rate, very excited to have another great episode and talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. Yes. Looking forward to reviewing the beer that we have today. It's delicious, scrumptious, had it over the weekend.
Potentially nutritious. Maybe.
There's always nutrition involved. But anyway, I'm Cody.
I'm Micah.
This is the Beer Brothers. Let's go.
Woo!
Yeah, okay. First of all, did you watch the TikTok I sent you?
Which, you send me, like, way too many things a day, and I actually fucking hate being on my phone. So, like, sometimes I'll go through them, I'll let them collect, and I'll go through them all at once, but I can't, like, just keep picking my phone back up.
Yeah, just for all the listeners out there, I send probably regularly 10 to 15
yeah,
different...
I was going to say 10 to 15.
10 to 15 different, like, TikToks or Instagram reels.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have TikTok, so...
I wake up at, like, 6:30, and this dude's already sent me, like, 5 reels. I'm like, dude, what? Is that how you start your day?
No, I start it in the gym, honestly, at like 5 in the morning, mostly. But then I'll just get bored while taking a shit, and I'm like, reels. And these are funny. Maybe send it to Micah, see what he thinks. But yeah, so I sent you one late last night, and I think you need
the
to...
nipples one?
Yeah, did you watch it?
Oh, okay, I'll pull it up. Hold on. It looked gross.
It's very gross.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now. Give me a sec. Oh, God.
Just play it loud.
Those aren't real. There's no way they're real. They look
okay, just for anybody listening, this is a TikTok of a guy shirtless. He's thin rail. I mean, like, rail thin is what I mean. Rail thin, but he has not even silver dollar size nipples.
Like,
they're like...
He's got like a young Harry Potter body with gigantic, dark pepperoni nipples.
Like pregnant nipples.
And I'm not talking about like little peps. I'm talking about those big Brooklyn style peps.
The salami peps. He's got those salamis going.
So it's just a reaction video, but man, that was... Nope. It said hashtag pepperoni.
Dude, yeah.
God. Yeah, so that man was gyrating weirdly with his gigantic nipples to something.
I mean, pretty much the mic filter that I have in front of my face right now is about the size of those things.
Now I can't talk into the microphone anymore. You've ruined it.
Well, I need to say all that to say that I'm very jealous of people with very tiny nipples.
Yeah,
like
tiny nipple club is not a bad club to be in. I guess unless they're like non-existent, then it's like you look like a Ken doll.
I mean,
there's nothing on there.
From a guy perspective,
yeah,
you know, I don't think they're that bad. Like on a small level, you know, I don't know.
I don't think. Yeah, there's definitely like small nipples. I'm sure people are like, oh, that's fine, but when they get big like that is you got to get into some fetish territory to enjoy. I could barely say that. It's so disturbing.
To enjoy it.
Yeah.
Well, here's my thoughts. Okay, first of all, I'm definitely a part of the Pepperoni Club, so I can't you know, hate on the guy. If anything, it makes me self-conscious, and I'm like, you know, it's one thing to be the topic of a pool party. You know what I mean? Like when you've done something cool, but it's like when your shirt comes off and everybody's like uncomfortable.
Oh my God.
That just does things to you mentally.
I don't think anyone's that uncomfortable with your nipples, but that guy at a pool party, I'd be like, no, Jerry, you keep your shirt on.
You have to.
If you take it off, you have to leave.
This isn't
going
to
to
work.
You have to leave. Like, if my children see this, I swear.
Yeah, like I don't know why it is. Like why I don't know why we're so not we as in me and you, but like as people, like we can't just be like, oh, that's fine. Like that's what it is.
There's
Like
just some.
something that
There's just
makes us
some.
uncomfortable.
There's just some things that are disproportionate that are definitely more disturbing than other things.
Like you're proportionate for a pizza.
Yeah, yeah, proportionate for an extra large pizza.
Yeah. So anyway,
Oh
you know, I
god.
just wanted
Okay, I don't want to talk about nipples anymore. Let's talk about this beer.
Like,
What a
it's
transition.
uncomfortable. It's so uncomfortable.
Hey, beer company. Hope you liked that little warm up to your beer. Talking about giant nips. Here we go.
Hope you're ready to, dive into this
Yeah,
delicious
alright.
beer after talking about some crusty.
Oh, stop. They weren't. What was weird is in the video they weren't crusty. They looked shiny.
They were
This
glistening.
is weird. I don't
Put
want
them-
it. And oh no, cut it. Nasty.
Anybody who's tuning in for the first time was like, well, this is the last time I listened to this.
Yeah, they're never
podcast."
coming back.
Hold on. I just need to say, okay, you're like, wow, way to warm up to this beer. Their pepperoni pizza fucking
We're gonna
slaps.
get to the pepperoni
Okay.
pizza.
I'm
But
just
I wanna
saying,
get into this beer
there's
first.
connection here.
Yeah, there's a
alright?
connection. You're right. That's fair. We'll make it work. All right, so today we are reviewing a beer from Smith Lentz out of Nashville, Tennessee. This is their Mariachi Static Hellas Lager. It is a 5.5% ABV. It's clean, smooth Pils malt, and subtle hops. That's all they give us, and that's great. That's all you need. Taste test.
Oh, it's beautiful. This is a beautiful beer. Seriously, so good.
It is. It's a gorgeous beer. I love Hellas beers. Like, that is a style I can kind of always go back to.
Yeah.
But this is, in my opinion, this might be the best Hellas beer I've had. I don't know if I can think of a Hellas beer that tops this experience.
No, you're right. I mean,
Yeah.
I've had some that have just been so. I mean, they've been bitter or something.
Yeah,
Like, this
and-
is like very, very smooth.
So, some of them, like the hops, they kind of overdo them, or they're a little. It's like a little too bright. It kind of starts to feel more like a pale ale or something like that, which is fine. But man, this Hellas just like it's
It is-
gonna be very difficult to find anything better.
It is
than that.
buttery. This is a
Oh,
buttery
yes.
beer.
Smooth. It's so smooth. It goes down easy, and I will say on tap, like fresh out the keg. We went. We had seen their pizzas on Instagram, and this place has some great looking pizzas, and I was like, man, that looks great. So we went. It was a little pricey, but I was like, I just want to try it out. You know, nothing wrong with spending a little on a potentially one time experience.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, we'll give it a shot. So I went over there, and me and Lauren sat down. Got a nice little spot outside. They had like redone their whole patio area. We had like good coverage. It was very hot that day, so we were like, yeah, let's do some half pours to sample some beers. So we did that one. We did this one in the one I gave you for your birthday. The
Little Hearts.
Yes, the Little Hearts Pilsner.
Also delicious.
yeah.
Should check it out.
That beer was really good. So we got both of those, and it was kind of a hard choice at first, but man, that Hellas just went down so smoothly. So we got that, and then we did the large pepperoni pie, which is basically a classic pep with hot honey, which I love hot honey on pizza. It's just like, I can't not do it now. If I can get a little honey drizzle on a za, it's so good.
On the side.
Even if it's not hot honey, it could just be like a good honey on a pepperoni pizza is delicious. So we got that, and they brought it out. I mean, it was, I think I shared a picture of it on our Instagram story at one point, but it was, I mean, beautiful. Like one of the best looking pepperoni pizzas I've seen in person. You know, when you see those pictures of like people's pizzas online and you're like, man, that looks incredible. And then you get to the place and like yours doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
How did they make it look that good? This one looked that good. It looked like one of those high quality ones.
Yeah.
So we took a bite and I was like, holy shit, this is one of the top pizzas I've had in this town.
Yeah.
Easily. Like, especially fresh out the oven. It was so fucking good. And so we were talking to our server about it, and he was talking about the beer, and he's like, yeah, this is one of my favorite beers. We ordered a picture of that. He was talking to us about the pizza, and he was saying, like, yeah, so they use they're very big on high quality local ingredients if possible. They Kind of go
Love it.
all in on the ingredient side of things as far as like trying to make sure the quality is high. And that dough is a um, yeast like sourdough
Okay.
sourdough flour mix.
Super crispy. It was like
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's apparently their own starter that they've been using the same starter from the sourdough over and over,
Love
and they
it.
make a sourdough mix. So it's like a sourdough pizza dough, but it's not full sourdough. It is a half and half, and I think that's why it's so yummy. And even though when they pull it out of that wood fired oven, it looks kind of like blackened on parts. You're like, man, I kind of burnt this crust, and it's not burnt. That crust is still soft. It's just kind of charred from the smoke.
Yeah, it's got a little char on it.
Yeah, a little char color. But man, we ate that and we were just like, we thought about it for a long time. And I was like, this is easily one of the top 2 pizzas I've had in this town. And I'm only saying that out of caution. Like, as to like maybe missing something or maybe being able to compare something side to side. And then same thing with the beer. One of the better beers I've had around this town, just generally. It's like, this is a great beer. So anyways, we'll get to the point of reviewing. I also picked up some of that pizza for Cody's birthday, so that's how he was able to try it.
Yes. So good.
But
much thanks.
We'll give it a score out of 10 beer babies at the end of this episode. So just letting you know, we haven't given an official rating yet, but we will towards the end. And like I said last week, that's how we get you. So.
I'm gonna go ahead and give that pizza a rating though. It was definitely
that pizza was a solid 9. Like
Okay,
that was
9.
a solid 9.
Got it.
Minimum.
I'm gonna go 8.3.
8.3, a little higher or a little lower. I mean, sorry.
A little lower, but it's just I don't know. That's just what it is, and I feel like that's
well.
solid.
You didn't have it like fresh as I
I
did.
didn't get
I
it,
had
like,
to travel
out
it
the
across
oven.
time. I had to take it across town to you, like 30-minute drive, and then we didn't have them cut it so it'd stay crispier,
Yeah.
but still like
We
know
can
it's gonna
adjust.
lose.
I'll say 8.7.
It's gonna lose some stuff. No, you can keep your 8.3. That's fine. If you try it again though,
Yeah.
you'll probably have a different rating for it if you tried it like fresh.
All right, so we need to talk about real quick, or not even real quick, but just the meat of this is the Bo Burnham special.
Oh
Inside.
yeah. That was okay.
I
You
mean-
have some thoughts, and you go ahead and start it off.
First of all, I am always impressed. The first time I ever saw the guy, my mind was blown from a stand-up comedy perspective.
Yeah.
Of just it wasn't stand-up, it was performance. Like, it was stand-up. He was doing stand-up, quote unquote, but what he was bringing in his special was a whole experience. It wasn't just like, I'm up here telling you observations about everything. It was like encapsulating people into what his thoughts were. And it has blown my mind ever since. So, Inside, his newest special, is that tenfold. The whole fact that it was him in a room during quarantine. I mean, I think he pretty much captured every person that worked from home and had nowhere to go.
Yeah.
Like, every day. You know, it's like, I get up, I sit down, I go to work. Like,
just for anyone who hasn't seen it yet, just like quick little I don't know, synopsis. It is essentially that. It is him in one room. It's technically a direct follow-up to Make Happy, or I think is what it was.
Make Happy.
Yeah, Make Happy, which was his last stand-up special, which was incredible. And it's basically just him inside of literally one room the entire time, going through trying to make this special where he is doing like his typical songs and stuff, and like, you know, all the commentary he kind of fits inside of his songs with like the irony of a lot of the music that he has. And it's going through all the emotions that, like, I think most of us went through during quarantine, or at least people who maybe everyone's quarantine experience was obviously a little different.
True.
Some people were locked in, and you know, he's living out in LA. I think
they were, like,
where their
extreme
lockdown
lockdown.
scenario was way more extreme than other parts of the country. So, but no, it was kind of a weird, cathartic thing. I remember, like, Lauren, she doesn't love to do sad stuff all the time. And there were some sad moments in that where you're like, fuck, man, this is like some honest shit. But she loved it because she was like, yeah, it was very thought provoking. Like, I really enjoyed the time that I had watching it. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely check it out. But that's kind of what you need to know going in.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing for me was that so there was a couple. Well, there's really a couple of things. First of all, most of his commentary during it is about the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it's about the internet culture. Like
Yeah.
the one song that cracked me up the most is like a little bit of everything all the
Yes.
time.
Yes. Internet all the time was.
Or yeah, internet all the time.
I think
Is that
was
what it's called?
it was. I think that's what the name of it is. Something like that. But yeah, the Internet all the time song.
Yeah, internet all the time cracked.
That was an
me
incredible
up.
song.
It was fantastic and it was hilarious, but it was also super insightful to think that like we just have everything at our fingertips, no matter what it is that we think it is. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, I can search this or search that or and you know, his whole deal was like, there's also marketing that's coming behind all of what you're searching.
Yeah.
You know, like right now our phones are listening to us, and so later I guarantee you there's going to be something about Bo Burnham. I wouldn't be shocked if one day all our phones just, you know, like over time developers have made phones and they're like, we got this hidden feature, and then eventually there's like little legs that pop out of them and they just start like crawling everywhere and they turn into their own things.
It's like a scarier version of her.
It's like, well, yeah, or Tamagotchi on crack. You know,
Oh, no.
Let me feed you information.
By Tamagotchi on crack, I took crack and my phone turned into a Tamagotchi.
Speaking of crack, how about the TikTok I sent you earlier today of just people blatantly doing
No, dude, that was weird. There was a reel, I think, is what
it was a reel.
Still, like, some of the stuff people share on the internet, man, fuck.
I've been sending Micah some random things, like when
Awkward
I'm
things.
going through Instagram, okay, I go through the Reels, which is just TikTok Instagram version, or it's TikTok put on Instagram, and every now and then I'll get the delicious content of like, I have 3 likes, you know, like I have nothing, like I'm nobody, and it just shows up.
Yeah.
So I send it to you because I think this is partially hilarious and also shocking. And today I found literal footage of
Like people in an alley shooting up heroin or something.
and rolling dice.
Like, Jesus. It felt fake, but it didn't all at the same time.
Oh, it
was
definitely
really
was
weird.
not fake. It was like super real. I'm like, why?
It felt
would you,
raw.
Why would you record that? Why would you be like, oh yeah, we're getting it down in the alleyway? I mean, these were homeless people, but they had phones and they were shooting up in an alley. Okay, I know this is terrible.
We have a weird world that we live in.
Well, and also the fact that I find entertainment in literally the darkest of things. Like, that is a terrible thing to laugh at, but
we can go back to the Bo Burnham thing if you want.
no, we can keep this in. We're
Okay,
gonna keep all this
keep it
in.
dark and weird and
delicious.
creepy.
No, well, we can't go back to the Bo Burnham thing.
I didn't know if you had like more you wanted to talk about it.
Just how well it was done. The fact
Yeah.
that he shot it by himself.
Yeah.
That
He edited
it
it
was
by
edited
himself,
by himself. He did all this work on figuring out the lights. I mean, if you watch this, you're gonna think, what the hell? Like, it is.
No, the production
beautiful.
value is incredible. And I think it kind of goes to show like how talented that dude actually is. And it also kind of shows like how much work sometimes you have to put into something for it to actually work. Like, he worked on it. You know, originally he was hoping he would have finished it for his 30th birthday.
Yeah.
That's like a whole moment. And obviously it doesn't happen in the thing, but because quarantine went on for so long, and that was kind of the biggest part of that project for him, was that it was like something he was doing throughout the entirety of these lockdowns. And I mean, dude's hair gets fucking long, his beard gets long, like, it's crazy. He looks like a different person by the end. He looks like Jesus at the end of it. You're just like, what the fuck?
He really does.
Like,
Well, he even has.
He even has that moment
shot.
of putting himself on a light cross. Like, there's a lot of wild shit in that, and I was incredibly impressed. The everything all the time might be, or internet all the time, that might be probably one of the best ones. White woman's Instagram was really, really funny. And then, like I said, there's some sad shit in there, but he hits on all the points that I feel like everybody kind of in some way might have crossed through during all this fucking madness over the past year.
It wasn't sad. It was sobering. There's I feel like a stark difference in the two. Like, it was like a moment of just.
I mean, it
like,
could be
obviously-
sobering and sad. Like, there was some
that's
sadness
true.
to it, because you're
Yeah,
like, I
that
hope
makes
he's
sense.
okay, you know?
Well, he even said, for instance, he made a statement at the beginning about putting a gun to his head.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
then he has this whole thing about how I thought this was just fantastic. You have to watch this. Just go watch it. Everyone go watch it. I don't care who's listening. Go fucking watch this. And you might be offended. It doesn't matter. Just watch it with like.
If you're offended, you're probably
lens.
not getting. Probably not getting the irony in what he's talking
Some
about.
of it, but there was the one scene where he had filmed himself saying like, "Hey, I know I said this earlier, but you don't want to do that." But then he projects it. He has a projector in this room that he uses for a lot of his lighting, and he projects it onto his own chest, like himself talking to himself. And it's like the disheveled, bearded guy looking off.
Yeah, the months later guy.
The months later guy, as a reminder, like, you don't want to do that. And I was like, holy shit.
Well, and it's also but when he's talking about it in that moment, it's an awkward conversation, like, because it's not easy to talk about, like, suicide and stuff, or like, dark thoughts and things like that. And he kind of talks about it in this way where, like, people who don't really understand like how to talk about it, that's kind of how it comes across. It's like, I don't really know what to say because this is like a hard thing to talk about, but no one really knows what to say, and everybody kind of doesn't really know what they're talking about. But at the same time, it's like, when you talk about him projecting an image of him talking about not killing yourself onto himself, does that mean that he's then projecting, you know what I mean? Like, because when you're projecting something, it usually means that you're like putting on a false face.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of layers to what he was doing, like a fucking ridiculous amount of layers.
Yeah, I mean, when you said like this guy is so talented, I told Carrie, I was like, hey, I'm still waiting for this dude to make a musical. Like, I'm still waiting for him to put together some kind of. He's already done film. He's obviously done stand up. He has these numbers that kind of have that vibe to him anyway. And it would probably be like Hamilton version musical.
Or it would probably be a little more like Book of Mormon.
Could be,
which, you know, was... I haven't seen it, but I've heard people who have seen it, they said it's incredible. It's really well done. And it is like, you know, a giant parody musical, but it's, you know, from the creators of South Park. But it works. Like, it's really well done.
Also, in most new musicals, there's always some kind of reference to Book of Mormon. Like, whenever a production's being put on, there's always some joke that's, like, gets referenced back. Like, they'll change something. Like, oh, no, that's Mormon. You know, like, Mormons do that, or whatever. And but it's a literal, like, they're playing on how great that was. Yeah. And that, I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know if he has any interest or cares, but... It's like, it reads. That guy reads.
He was like a musical theater person, so it would not be that surprising, but maybe he really just doesn't enjoy that stuff as much.
Maybe not.
As an adult. He's not, you know, like Lin-Manuel Miranda, like, that's his entire career. You know what I mean? And he's really good at it. But at the same time, like...
Well, and that was another thing.
Not everybody's
like,
super into it.
So, Hamilton was, like, cool because, like, oh, you took rap beats and you made history cool by turning it into this musical.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like Bo Burnham would take our life now and put it into something that's a musical, and everybody would be like, holy shit.
Yeah, it probably...
This hits on a level that's...
Yeah, it'd be... I mean, his stuff almost kind of is a musical already. Like, a lot of a lot of his work. So, I don't know. That would be pretty awesome.
Oh, the fact that he apologizes, like, to his dad at some point. Like, there's obviously some conflict. Like, he does a whole... conversation with his mom, and it's like, say hi to your dad, and he's like, hey dad, you know, and like kind of just whatever. But he also referenced, like, in a weird way, he's attacking what made him famous. He attacks like the obscure, the, you know, the obscene, and all this stuff via the internet. And that's what made him who he is. And he's like, I'm so sorry I said the things that I said. Like, he's had this self-realization.
Oh, no, yeah, there's that whole song where he's kind of like, when am I gonna get canceled? Because I've said some fucked up shit too. But, like, I'm not getting canceled. Like, almost like kind of calling the internet out on themselves of being like, you canceled, like, you tried to cancel all these people for jokes that they've made, and I've made some pretty fucked up jokes, and no one's over here trying to cancel me. Like, when am I supposed to get canceled? If you're gonna do it to me too. And then he, like, kind of tries to push those buttons a little bit of, like, kind of like a big fuck you. Like, y'all are all hypocrites. Like, you won't you love me, so you won't cancel me, even though I've said some stuff that definitely is not okay.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, I'm sorry for saying those things. I'm realizing them now. But at the same time, like, why didn't I ever go through that same thing? Like, why are y'all getting on to all these other artists, but I'm just over here like this, lonely white guy, like hanging out, and you're just like, you don't even bother.
Like,
to
it's
try and
fine
come
that
at
I
me.
say all this, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, for instance, in one of his specials, it was like tragedy equals comedy, and it's on his board. Like,
plus
if you
time.
like plus time, and
Yeah.
and there was like a joke that he made somewhere about like 9/11. Like, oh, like,
Yeah.
like it's funny, and people did laugh because of the way that he framed it, and now he's realized like that's still not okay.
Yeah.
Like that's still not good, and we've made a lot of jokes on this podcast, like watching it. Especially with his Twitch, like he does a Twitch thing that was so funny to me. But we've made a ton of jokes on here, and that's kind of been the I guess I don't know what you call it, but the topic of comedy is like, what's funny? Like,
Yeah.
when does the joke stop? Is it always a joke? Like, does it matter what the limit is? Because guess what? It's supposed to be funny.
Yeah.
And really, that's what comedy is like, let's poke fun at the plight of either ourselves or other people.
Yeah. I think we referenced it on our Twitch stream a couple weeks ago, but I think it was Seth Rogen had gone on to like Good Morning Britain or something, and was talking about cancel culture.
Yeah.
And essentially he was saying that like, you need to, like, comedians just need to start accepting that maybe their old jokes were bad.
Yeah.
Like, that instead of trying to defend their old jokes, like, just accept it. He's like, I've made jokes that definitely have not aged. And that's
that
that's
you feel
just,
guilty about.
It's like, and that's just what happens. Like, that happens. Like, but we need to start accepting that, like, sometimes our jokes are not going to age well, and that's okay. Like you might make a joke, and in the moment, maybe it's really funny, and if it doesn't age well, like, you need to accept that responsibility of being like, yeah, I made a joke, and at the time, maybe it was funny, but it's not funny now, and I would never make that joke again. But what was more interesting was people's commentary on him talking about that a little bit. Was the Bill Burr's podcast talked about the same thing, and Bill Burr's whole thing was like, and we referenced this as well when we were talking about it, but Bill Burr's whole thing is saying like, it's not that the joke it wasn't funny. It's just that our perceptions of the joke has changed.
Yeah.
And that's one of the harder things to kind of, because it's like somebody makes a joke and the whole audience laughs, but only the guy that made the joke gets in trouble, whereas everyone that laughed at it gets to suddenly be a judge. Like, they might have laughed at it and then they're suddenly flipping the script. And it's just really interesting, but I do kind of agree. Like, I think the biggest thing is like, I hate the whole like Joe Rogan's bullshit about like white men aren't going to be able to joke about anything anymore eventually. And it's like, that's totally not true. Like,
No.
That's definitely not true.
And that shouldn't be what it is.
Yeah, and that's like, you're not even a real comedian, like, to be honest. Like, you just bring funnier people than you on your show. Like, sorry, I'm punching at Joe Rogan, but like,
we're under fire. We're going down. Joe Rogan enthusiasts are gonna.
Their whole thing's gonna hate. No, and I'm not saying like he's a bad guy or anything. I'm sure Joe Rogan's fine, but like, if you're taking advice from the dude who fucking was telling people to eat like bull testicles on Fear Factor, like, fuck you. Like, I'm not taking advice from this guy. To act like he's like, just because he has the biggest podcast in the world, we're all gonna act like he fucking knows everything. That's so stupid. It's like,
I love
the biggest
this mentality.
the biggest thing. No, and I can get on these rants for sure about stuff that like, is frustrating. But the biggest thing for me is like, as long like most of the time the jokes that aren't gonna age well are the jokes when you're punching down at people that cannot punch back or that are not in a position to punch back.
Yeah.
That's usually when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's why we don't. Okay, this got referenced in the game night the other day. There's a line in a movie that is generally, at the time, was hilarious. It's from Tropic Thunder.
Yeah.
And he's like, you never go full, and he uses the R word,
Yes.
which
Yeah.
is kind of like a big no-no now to use that word. And there's a lot of people that still kind of use it. Hasn't really gotten out of everybody's vocabulary, but it's like, that's an... but you're making a joke at the expense of an entire group of people that have no ability to defend themselves or fight back.
And they had no choice.
Yeah, and they're born that way. Like, dude,
Yeah.
there's things that that's easy to figure out as to why those jokes don't age well.
Yeah.
And it's like, if those are the jokes you're making, then stop fucking making those jokes and find something funnier. Like, find something more insightful. Like, the Bo Burnham stuff, his stuff is funny, and sometimes he pushes some boundaries, but it's usually to make an ironic point. He's going to bring you back around. Bill Burr does the same thing. He says stuff that makes you feel like, oh, God, I don't know if he should say that. And then he finds this way to flip the joke on you. Yeah. And, like, he completely flips it on its head. And if you laughed at the beginning, you're probably not laughing at the end of the joke. Whereas vice versa, if you weren't laughing at the beginning, you're probably laughing at the end. Dude. So a lot of people that have the ability to do that. And I think we got to quit acting like we're not going to be able to joke about stuff because of cancel culture. Cancel culture is not real. If I don't like something that you're doing, I don't have to fucking listen to or buy your product. I mean, that's just, it's called capitalism.
There's literally only 5 listeners of the show, so if it got canceled, it's like, you know.
No, I don't
not
care.
hard.
Oh, I don't have to do this anymore? Thank you. Put me out of my misery. I hate this. No, just kidding.
I freaking love, Bill Burr is one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah, he's so good.
I love that guy. I love him. Tom Segura is also on the top of the list. But, you know, to your point of, like, things being funny and being funny differently, I feel like Nate Bargatze is a great example of that.
Clean comic, never ever cusses or puts down groups of people. Fucking hilarious.
Dude, he's
so funny.
Yeah, I mean, because he just thinks differently. Like, it's not like, hey, I've got to be shock and awe. Like, Bill Burr's kind of shock and awe.
Yeah, he
a little bit. Tom Segura's a little bit of that. I mean,
yeah,
I feel like,
he definitely is too, yeah. And
that's fine, but, and I like literally love both of them. That's part of why this podcast exists.
Yeah.
But Nate Bargatze is also someone that you're just like, dude, I respect the fucking shit out of you because you just think about things on a whole other level.
Yeah, just a really dumb,
so funny to me.
He's just more of that, like, goofy, dumb friend you kind of have that gets into weird situations. He's a little like Jimmy, but just less vulgar.
Oh, yeah. He's absolutely like Jimmy.
Jimmy's been on our podcast once, and he's just like a dude who always gets into the funniest situations, and he has funny observations about those situations.
Yes.
And Nate Bargatze is just like that, except for he doesn't cuss in his stand-up, like, ever.
No.
He's the cleanest comic.
Yeah.
It's really, really funny.
All right, so yeah, let's rate this beer. I am going to give this a delicious... You go first, actually. You go first. I got to think about it a second.
So,
I thought I had a number. But
I was fortunate enough to try this beer on tap. Out of the can, I'd give it an 8.5. I think it's a really freaking good beer. It's very solid. It goes down easy. It's got a good ABV on that easiness. Very drinkable. Could crush a lot. Crushability is very high. On tap, 9. Like, an easy 9. It's not even a question for me. That's just where I'm at on it. As far as, like, just our typical Beer Babies rating.
Yeah. So we're in the same mindset. 8.5 is what came to mind immediately for this. And so...
I have no complaints about the beer.
I literally have nothing, and why it's at 8.5 and not like a 10 is just probably... meh.
Yeah, sometimes we
you
rate
never
stuff out
know.
of caution.
There might be something else out of there.
Out of Hellas beers, it's a 10. But
this is one of the top 3 I think I've ever tried.
Yeah. Out of Hellas beers, it's a 10, but out of beers, it's definitely one of the best beers I've had in Nashville. Good job, Smith Lentz. I'm going to just stick with my 8.5 to 9 rating, depending on if you're getting canned or not. And I think that's a really high rating. So
I've only had the can, 8.5. I agree, concur. Beautiful.
Boom.
Done. All right, well, this concludes the episode. This has been the Beer Brothers. I'm Cody.
I'm Micah.
Good night.
Night.